Hello, hello and welcome to this new live stream episode from Arturia. My name is Sébastien. I'm a product manager at Arturia and in particular on PolyBrute. And I'm here today to talk about, well, of course, to talk about PolyBrute, but especially to talk about PolyBrute Connect. So I guess I won't go into detail on PolyBrute because we've already done some content, we've done some tutorials. I suggest you check them out if you want to learn about that instrument. We already did a live stream about PolyBrute, and I don't have time to cover everything. So today we're going to focus on the software side of PolyBrute, the PolyBrute Connect. But in case some of you are not exactly familiar with what PolyBrute is, I will give a 1-minute description of what it is. So PolyBrute is a polyphonic analog synthesizer. It's got 6 voices of polyphony. On each voice you have 2 oscillators. On the oscillators you can mix the waveforms together. So you don't just choose one, but you can crossfade between the different waveforms, and you have wave shapers to transform the waveforms, like wavefolding, pulse width modulation. You can mix them with a noise source. In the mixer, you go into 2 filters, a Steiner-Parker filter, which is a 12 dB multimode filter. You can continuously morph between low pass, high pass, and band pass, and a ladder 24 dB low pass filter. Then, so if we look at the voice, this is mixed together with the VCA, and then you have an effect section with, so the effect section is digital. 3 effect slots, a modulation to do chorus, phaser, flanger, ring mod, beat crusher, a delay section, and a reverb. The effects sound beautiful. Some of them are taken from the Pigments engine, like the plate reverb, which just sounds gorgeous in my opinion. Here, so in terms of modulation, we have 3 envelopes, we have 3 LFOs, and a lot of focus when put on the expressivity on this instrument. This is why we have this Morphing controller over here, which is XY touch sensor, and also with a pressure sensor. It's a spring-loaded pressure sensor. Here is a ribbon controller hidden in the wood. Then you have the usual, the mod wheels, aftertouch, velocity, pedal, expression pedal inputs. This section over here, the matrix, has multiple uses. You can use it to browse through presets. So we have 768 presets. We filled half for the factory library. So 4 of the pages of the matrix are filled when you receive your unit, and then there is four pages which are empty for now. You can create your own patches, or you can load some of the expansion patches that we will provide over time. We're working on 2 new expansion banks right now, and there will be more in the future. The matrix can also be used as a modulation section. So here I visualize all my modulation sources, the envelopes, the LFOs, the keyboard follow, velocity, aftertouch, and the control of the morphe, the XYZ of the morphe, plus the reel and ribbon. And I can choose to assign it to various parameters on the instrument. So I can assign to up to 32 destinations, and assigning is easy. I just hold the button to say if I want to control this column. If I want to control this column, I just hold that button, move a control, and now it's updated. I don't know if you can see from here, but I tweak my resonance, and now I have my resonance as a control. So I can assign an envelope to the resonance like this. Anyway, I'm not going into detail. This is a very, very short overview just for people who might not be familiar with PolyBrute. A sequencer. So of course, I don't know. Sequencer. So 64-step sequencer, 6 voices of polyphony on each step, and you can do ties, you can do accents and slides, and you have 3 tracks of modulation. So it's a fairly advanced sequencer. You also have an arpeggiator and what we call the matrix arpeggiator, which lets you write pattern by entering notes like this. And you can reshuffle the pattern and change the note. It depends on, I can play 6 notes. It is note 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I can change my pattern. I can set some, change the octaves. So yeah, I just wanted to show this briefly because I love how quickly you can write new melodies without really knowing what you're doing, just jamming with it. Anyway, so this, I guess, gives a quick overview of PolyBrute. It's we announced it in April. We've worked on the production until now. It's finally shipping. Some of you already received their units, and there are more to come. All right, let's talk about PolyBrute Connect. So first, I guess we can ask why we decided to make a software editor. I mean, we're working on this big analog polysynth, and it's on hardware. So what's the point? I guess at Arturia, initially we've been designing software instruments. Well, they were. I wasn't there at the time, but the Arturia has been designing the software instruments, and then moved into hardware. And we've always thought about how these two words can talk to each other. Because there's something really fun about hardware, about turning knobs, about like getting lost in the zone when using a piece of gear like this one. And at the same time, you can't really beat, in my opinion at least, we can't really beat the efficiency of producing in a computer in a DAW. So I guess that was one of the reasons why we pushed this editor concept. It was like how can we best take a hardware instrument like PolyBrute and bring it into the software world. So let's have a quick look at PolyBrute Connect. PolyBrute Connect is a standalone or plugin version. You can use both, depending on your setup. You can use it in standalone if you prefer, or if you work in the DAW, you can use it in a DAW as multi-track plugin. So right now I have my DAW, I have my audio track that is receiving my PolyBrute that is connected to my AudioFuse Studio. I'm going to create a MIDI track and add PolyBrute Connect. So PolyBrute Connect in that case is a VST instrument. When I load a new instance of PolyBrute Connect, I get this message that tells me that you need to activate this instance. And this is because we're going to have multiple instances of PolyBrute Connect, and I can tell which one I want to synchronize with my hardware. So I just click Activate. And now, if I browse my preset, you can see on the hardware interface that the knobs are going to move to show my patch. And this is I would say the first reason, the first purpose of PolyBrute Connect is that when you have a patch, whether it's a factory patch or something that you designed, and you load it back, you don't really get a visual feedback of what's happening because the knobs don't reflect the preset position. So using the editor is a convenient way to visualize what you've created. So of course I can visualize, but I can also edit. So let's I don't know. So let's see. All right. So these presets, if I use my mouse to move my cutoff, I can modify it, and if I do the same thing on the hardware, I can modify it as well, and I see on the software that the action happened. So it's like bi-directional, and I can edit everything. Another thing that is very useful is to visualize the morph. So I haven't talked about morphing. Morphing is something that was one of the, I would say, the basic concepts of PolyBrute, of why we wanted to make PolyBrute. We decided that it would be an instrument where presets are not just one sound, but they can actually morph, and you have like this whole continuity of sounds between two parts, which is great. But it also adds a layer of, another layer of parameters. Each preset has values, for all the knobs for A and for B, the two parts of morphing. And when you load a patch on PolyBrute and you turn the morph knob, you can't really tell what is going to happen. So when you use the editor, and I don't know, maybe you can find a preset that is more illustrative. All right, let's go with this. So when I load a preset and then I turn my morph knob, I can see all my parameters moving. that reflect the A and B values. And I can also, let's see. And I can also just modify the independently the A and B value by dragging the knobs, but not in the. If I drag on the middle of the knob, I'm going to modify the value depending on my morph control. So if morph is in the middle and I turn the knob, you can see that both A and B values are moving. I don't know if from where you are if you can see the blue and green little dots that represent the A and B values. And if I drag here with my left click, I edit only the A part. And if I use the right click, I edit only the B part. So I guess this is already quite advanced editing. And you can already just make music with PolyBrute and not really care about editing in detail the A or B part. The way we designed Morph was not meant to be used that way. It was meant to, jam with presets. You have a sound that you like. Maybe you're on A, you create a sound, you explore, move to copy to B. You have the same sound, do some variations, and then just navigate between the two. And but sometimes you want to go into this level of technicality, I would say, and actually, select one specific parameter and modify just one part of the morph. So anyway, this is another very powerful aspect of PolyBrute Connect is you visualize the morph and you can edit the morph. The third reason why we wanted to have an editor was to browse through presets, to browse through the presets and use it as a way to navigate the factory library and also to do backups of your presets. So if I click the browser button in the toolbar right here, let's have a quick look. So those of you who used Arturia software instruments should be familiar with at least to some extent, with this interface. This section on the left is a way to filter the sound. So if I just select keys, let's go with simple, no evolving, and I can choose some sound. So now I'm browsing through the soft evolving keys. The section in the middle, as you maybe figured out, is the result list. So it shows me all the presets that are on the machine, and then I can sort them. I can sort them by type. I can, if I just want to visualize one of the sound designers, I can go and look for a specific sound designer. So this is just my result list, and it shows the filtered preset of this section. This section on the top right tells me some information about the patch that I have loaded, like a comment, the styles, and everything. All of this, for those of you who know Arturia for their software instrument, should be, fairly similar to what you already know. This section on the right here shows the presets that are contained on your PolyBrute. So maybe you've completely designed totally new patch. Maybe you don't like the factory library, or you want to create your own patches. You erased everything and just started from scratch. So this will show you everything that you have saved on your machine. So either patches that you've created on the machine, or if you drag and drop presets from the editor onto your PolyBrute, then you will have all those patches. Well, it reflects your machine. And the last section is this section over here. So I would say there were three things we wanted to do. One was navigate the factory library like in a clean way, with the tags and everything, a bit like our software instrument. One was to visualize your PolyBrute preset, and the third one was to use the editor as a way to do librarian, to back up some presets. Maybe you've done a lot of presets that you like and you want to save them, and maybe like one full page of the matrix that you like, you want to save it, and then you just want to load it back later, or send it to a friend or something like that. And this is the section of the left which we call projects, which you could say it's kind of like what you have on your PolyBrute on the right, but on the computer. So you can still visualize your patches in a matrix view, a bit like here. So there's more more link with how presets are laid out on the PolyBrute. I don't know if probably not many of you already have a PolyBrute, but maybe some of you have a matrix brute, and you would agree with me that on matrix brute you tend to memorize where the presets are on the matrix, because of how the instruments is organized. Because we use this matrix to browse presets, there's like the brain kind of thinks in terms of geometry, and I remember where the presets are on the matrix. So anyway, this was the third use of the browser. So now I guess we'll go back to the interface later, and we can have a quick look at everything. But for now, I'm just gonna, I wanted to show you the fourth aspect of PolyBrute Connect, which is to integrate in a DAW. And yes, like I was saying, this is something that we really wanted to push to make a plugin version of PolyBrute. So right now, I have an instance of PolyBrute Connect on an instrument track, and I have my audio track. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm gonna record something. So I had this sound here, this key sound that I selected. I'm going to arm record on my PolyBrute Connect track and on the audio track. Let's go, set the metronome. All right, so I did that quite good, but just giving you an idea. So now PolyBrute has two MIDI channel, one that is for generic MIDI. So like right now, my instrument track receives the PolyBrute sound, and there's also another MIDI channel which is used for communication with the editor. And so PolyBrute MIDI is the one you should use, and PolyBrute VST is just for communication with the software, and you don't need to use it. So right now I have the sound on my instrument track, and PolyBrute Connect automatically sends the MIDI back to PolyBrute using this VST port. So I can quantize my recording a little bit. Let's see if I recorded it well. Reduce the metronome a bit. Okay. So now I've just recorded MIDI. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna record the audio again now that I've quantized the MIDI. I'm gonna record the audio, and I'm gonna do some movements on the controls, and we're gonna record that as well. And we're gonna record the audio directly. So pressing the Morphy had some cutoff variation. This kind of filtered down the sound. Right. So now my audio is recorded. If I just solo my audio, I have my movement on the controls because I recorded the audio. And if I look on my MIDI track, why didn't I record automation? Did I forget to record here? Give me a second, let me just figure that out. This is working. Sorry. Oh. Sorry about that. I'm terribly sorry. I'm trying to figure out why I'm not getting anything. I'm just gonna load back the PolyBrute Connect. Let's see if that works any better. Activate. Right. All right. So now I'm getting it. I don't know what happened. Anyway, doesn't matter. So now let's just group these tracks, rename melody, all set them to a separate color. Okay. So I have this melody. Let's move to another track. I'm gonna create another audio track, and I'm gonna create another MIDI track. And I'm gonna put PolyBrute Connect on that track and activate this instance. So now what I did on my first instance is still available, but I will need to connect again. Right now I'm using the second one, and we're gonna look for a bass sound. I'm gonna use this patch I created, this one. So now I have this. So my first track now doesn't play. It just plays the melody, and my second audio track receives this patch. It's a unison bass. And yeah, it's a unison bass. Let's just let's do a recording of the bass. First, we can see a bit when I morph. So yeah, again, when I morph, I'm seeing all my controls. Let's record just the MIDI. I'll record the MIDI because I'm not a good keyboard player. I record the MIDI, then I do real-time record the MIDI, then I do a quantization, and then I record the audio and do a few knob recording. I'm going to duplicate that. All right, there we go. So set my metronome. Okay. All right. Take this, quantize it a bit. Okay, everything seems wonderful. So now that I have this, I can arm record on my audio track. Set record, and we're gonna record the audio, and we are gonna do some automation. Okay, wonderful. Set it back to auto. So now I have my bass line. Duplicate this. All right, so same thing. Group the tracks. This is bass. Okay. Let's make them a bit smaller. Okay. All right. Now, let's add a third element. We're gonna record a beat. So I'm not gonna use the PolyBrute internal sound to write a beat. I'm just gonna load a kit that I did. It uses some of the Ableton Live the patches. The patches from some of the Live Suite expansion packs. Anyway, Okay, let's record that. I got my metronome. All right, so I'm gonna quantize all of that because it definitely doesn't play in tune. We're just gonna solo it, just make sure everything. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, this one's all right. Like this. Alright, maybe next time they will hire a talented keyboard player to record some stuff. Alright. And the rest was good. Perfect. Let's just add a quick some quick hi-hats. So I'm gonna overdub record on this. Can remove the solo. All right, this is too loud. Okay, so yeah, I didn't want to bother you with all of that, but I just needed a little bit of drums on this bit. So there we go. Now let's again use PolyBrute Connect. So I'm gonna create another audio track and another MIDI track. Load my PolyBrute Connect. Again, activate. I guess you're getting the idea now. Activate. So now this instance controls the PolyBrute. So we're gonna do hi-hats. We're gonna use the PolyBrute to do hi-hats. So I looked into the factory library. I couldn't really find some hi-hats that I liked directly in percussion, but I found this pad in sound effects. I was using noise. Yeah, it's called this function. So I was using this, which sounds nothing like a hi-hat. I agree. I just remove some of the LFO, so it sounds like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an LFO to create more of a percussion sound. And this is an opportunity, maybe if we can zoom on this section of the interface, it's an opportunity to show you a feature that I don't think I've explained in previous videos. Most controls on the instrument, to do assignation, to do a matrix assign, just hold the button and turn a control, and now it's just changing the assign. Some parameters do not have a knob. And to access those parameters, you just hold this button again and turn this mod amount here. And it lets you browse through the list of settings that are not accessible differently. So VCA, the amplitude of the LFOs, the pitch of both oscillators at the same time, the panning of the filters, there's a vibrato, you can choose the depth and the speed, and this is it. So it's just a handful of parameters that you can still access through this shortcut. In my case, I want to control the VCA because I want to do an amplitude modulation. So we still have this sound. Let's just make the attack sharp. And let's use LFO1 on the VCA. Synchronize the VCO, set it to 1/16. All right, I'm gonna still. All right, and I can do the same thing, assign like I showed you, to assign to the LFO amp and use the LFO to modulate its own amplitude, which is a trick to do a sharper decay. All right. So this is what we have. I'm gonna remove a bit some of the effect. So you know, because we're doing something a bit like glitchy IDM. I guess that will do. All right. All right. So I'm gonna record both the audio and the MIDI, and if the audio is right, we won't need to record again. Otherwise, I will quantize. I don't need my metronome. I have my beat. Wonderful. So hi-hats, we can just listen. So here, yes, this time it got recorded. So I have my master cutoff automation, which I recorded. Let's see, would it be the reason? Okay. So here, so this, I think this is still takes a little bit too much space, so let's just add 1973 pre, one of the preamps that we've created. Remove some of the hand, maybe boost section over here, and we can load like the transient shaper from our good friends at Isotope to remove the sustain, again, to make everything a bit sharper. All right. All right, I'm gonna group this. I'll call it hi-hats. Change the color. Oh no, it's just, you know, it's just some habit that I have so that it's easier for me to visualize everything. You know, I create my group, I have my audio track, I have my video track, I just set a color, and then it's easier for me to see what's happening in my project. I guess people work in many different ways. It's just the way I choose to work. So anyway, this is all a bit digital-ish in a way. I don't know, for an analog synth. Let's look for a pad. I'm gonna use, yes, I know what I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna create same thing. Create an audio track. Create a MIDI track. Choose my PolyBrute Connect. Activate this instance, and I'm gonna use this patch. It's funny, it's one of the very first patch that was created on the very early prototype of PolyBrute, probably like, I don't know, a year and a half ago, something like that. It's called AB Trip, and it was done by Jean-Michel, one of our internal sound designer. And it's named that way because, well, let's listen. You see, it progressively goes. It goes from actually it uses an envelope on the morph. So the morph, you can use it with this control, but you can also assign it in the matrix, and you can do modulation of the morph, which is crazy when you think about it. Like the potential that you can do with this feature alone is insane. In this case, so we have this kind of simple patch on A. We have this patch on B. And if I hold my keys, it's going to progressively go toward the other patch. All right. So let's record something. And one thing I love to do with this patch is that if you change some note, but well, in this case I went beyond the polyphony, but if I just do this and keep my E note pressed, the E is progressively gonna go towards the B patch, while the other stay on A. Let's record that straight away, so you can hear what I'm talking about. Let's go. Metronome. So I'm holding B and changing the other notes. You can hear the upper notes becomes my B part. Oh, it's saturating. No, I'm gonna record again. I forgot to reduce the volume when I play multiple notes. And now I'm not keeping the B pressed. I'm just playing the notes together because we don't need as much room. You can do, yeah. All right. So yes, this was I don't know. I really wanted to show this. The fact that morphing can be a modulation destination, so you can assign an LFO to morph, and the LFO can be polyphonic, so you can have one voice that morphs in a way and the other voice that morphs in another way, so everything is polyphonic. Or in that case, I can use an envelope so that one note is going to start morphing, and another one will start from A and go to B. This one will go from A to B. I don't know. It's I don't know. I find it insane. Just thinking of the patches I could design using morph as as the destination in the matrix. But I digress. So where are we? So I don't know. We have kind of an intro with this pad. You can probably bring the beats earlier. Maybe with my hi-hats as well. So my bass is too soft, and I'm gonna process the bass a little bit just so we can hear it. So I'm gonna boost the low end, and maybe get rid of some of that medium so it's more subby. And I'm gonna sidechain with the kick. So sidechain, it's my PVC kit 1. My kick drum is here. this is what we have right now. I don't know. Maybe we can go back to create another track. Create something that's more kind of a lead on top. So same thing. I just create my 2 track, load my PolyBrute Connect VST, activate it. Oh yes, that's something I wanted to show you as well. Let's do the. I can't remember how it's called. Yes, No Man's Lojo. This is a kind of it's a unison patch. Maybe I'll gotta not set it to legato. So I was telling you about settings plus control to edit the settings. Just okay. So I have this now, and here I have some more, like a longer tone, and we're gonna record something using these and do an automation of these. Alright, so we're not hearing it much, and I made a few mistakes, but that's the beauty of editing. Just remove them, quantize a bit. I think everything is a bit too loud right now, so I'm getting compression on the master. I'm gonna take those tracks and just reduce the volumes a little bit. All right, so this new melody, we're gonna process it a little bit. Let me solo that. Now this one. Again, remove some of the low end. Maybe you want to boost at 1K. Maybe boost some. So now we were listening to the direct input of PolyBrute, and now I'm listening to what I recorded. And we can see here. No. Oh yes, but I messed up my quantization. Let's record again. Sorry about that. Alright, that will do. Let's set it to, I'm not in my record anymore. Okay, so I guess the whole point was to show you how to build a track with multiple elements using PolyBrute. I'm not saying it's any great or whatever, but it's quite efficient, at least. I guess you could argue. Just create a track. Add the PolyBrute Connect, record, and then move to the next track and do recording. And one thing I wanted to show you, which is very important, is that let's listen to my bass. That you can jump back to a previous instant, and PolyBrute will go back to this instance. So right now, I'm listening. If we listen here, this is the sound I have my PolyBrute. Now let's go back to my base. Open PolyBrute Connect of the base and click Activate. And now, if I choose this track, I'm back to my sound on the PolyBrute. And this is one of the strong aspects of using PolyBrute Connect, is that you create multiple instances and you kind of build your layers one after the other. But if you want to go back to a previous track, or if you just saved your project and you go back to it like a month later, you can just click on Activate, and whatever you have created in the software version will be sent back to PolyBrute. So you can record your performance again, you can do a different automation, you can change a node, you can transpose, whatever you need to do. But in a way, it's a very efficient way to kind of take pictures of your PolyBrute without having to save presets every time. When you have multiple DAW projects, which is how people, I guess, work, for the most part, everything gets saved in your DAW project. So if you save on the machine, maybe you forgot that you were using this preset in a previous track. So maybe you're going to erase some content that you wanted to keep if you want to go back to a previous project. In this case, because everything is saved directly in the editor, you don't have that problem. Everything is going to be recalled. And so this is true when you load back a project, but it's also true like right now. If I just went back to my PolyBrute Connect, maybe we can solo this. So now you see I have you can see the automations. You can, on the master cutoff, on the morphe, everything got recorded. If I wanna change the note, let's listen this one, and put it at the octave. All right, I can just do that. I'll record on my track again, and do another recording. And my previous automation is still memorized because the automation was recorded in Ableton Live, and I don't need to record it again. So now, if we go back to listening to the track, yeah. All right. So I guess this gives already quite an overview of the things that can be done with PolyBrute Connect. Now let's go back to this instance. This. Okay, so yes, I guess we gave a nice overview. Just briefly, I wanted to show you some of the sections of the instrument of the plugin I haven't showed you. So at the bottom, you have 4 tabs over here. So what we're seeing is a keyboard right now. If I click on matrix, I can visualize my matrix either in a folded view, or I can unfold and visualize the entire matrix. I can also do a assigns, just like I can do on the hardware. Click here, and then select the control, and now it will assign directly to that control. So it's the mod assign system on PolyBrute Connect is very similar to PolyBrute. The third tab is preset settings, and it lets you visualize some settings that are saved in a preset. So you have some over here, like the voicing, polyphony, monophonic, the count of voices in the unison, if you choose to set your unit to unison, your preset. And then you also get some settings that are directly in the interface. Just like you can edit them on the hardware by holding settings and looking at all the small green dots over there. So if I do settings plus the tune, for instance, it shows me the settings that are related to tune. So I see I have tune modulation on the screen, and I can select the option of what does this knob, what is the range of my knob, and if I apply modulation on the tune, is it going to be just continuous or chromatic? This is just an example. I can do it on my delay to choose some different sync options for my delay time. On the damping of the reverb, it lets me, you have the knob does like a low pass filtering, and the setting is a high pass filtering. And there are some of them kind of across the instrument, and as you get familiar with PolyBrute, you learn where they are, and it's extremely efficient to, like if I just want to control the if I'm using my envelope and I see my decay and I'm like, oh, I want to change something on my decay, just settings post directly on the decay, and I see my options over there. So it's very efficient. Anyway, on PolyBrute Connect, here I have the same thing. Right under my decay slider, I have this drop down that lets me choose my my setting for my decay, and it's the same everywhere. I was showing you VCO2. You have the two settings I was showing for VCO2 are directly under the knob over there. So yes, preset settings, and the fourth tab over there is global settings. So these are things that are global to your unit, like MIDI channel selection, some clock settings like the type of analog clock output. You can calibrate the unit. Normally, your unit is going to stay in tune, but if you want to use it before it warmed up and you have like a very cold room, maybe it didn't adjust its temperature, or if you can hear something that's wrong, just calibrate, and the voices are going to auto-tune and everything will be fine. So you can do it from the hardware, you can do it from the software. I guess that's it. I hope it gives a nice overview of PolyBrute Connect. I really wanted to show these two aspects, how, well, actually all of the advantages, how you can visualize a patch, how you can visualize morphing, how you can, manipulate the presets, store and recall presets, back up your machine, and also how you can integrate in a DAW and, start making music and use PolyBrute kind of like you would use a software instrument. I mean, just another way to imagine it is that I could have my PolyBrute like on my rack behind me, connected with cable and a USB cable, and I could have a MIDI controller over here and PolyBrute Connect, and I could technically do everything. So anyone who's going to buy a PolyBrute, I would strongly urge you to actually use the thing and not just the software, of course, because that's the whole point of getting an instrument like this. But the flexibility of having everything in your computer, and that if you just if it happens that your PolyBrute is over there and you just want to move the cutoff automation, well, you don't need to do hardware manipulation. You can do it directly on the software. So thank you for listening to the presentation. We're going to see if there are a few questions. I'm going to look over there. Let's see. PolyBrute Connect. Yes, there's a handful of questions. So, the first question is there a plan to allow the PolyBrute to be a master MIDI controller for the V-Collection synth as a pre-mat MIDI control surface? Let me think. So, the way hold on. All right, the way the CC map, the continuous control map of PolyBrute is not the same as the V-Collection instruments, and currently there's no way to edit it. So, I mean, we could do a MIDI map in the software instruments that reflects what is done on the PolyBrute. It would probably be easier that way because, I don't know, on Matrix Brute, we made this decision that the CC map for input and output is the same, and you can't change it, so that you don't get into weirdies like having created an automation in MIDI and then change the mapping, and now it doesn't control the same thing. So when you're using PolyBrute Connect, you don't have that problem. But maybe some people want to just use generic MIDI. Maybe they're not using a DAW, or they don't want to use PolyBrute Connect. They just want to create a MIDI track and do MIDI automation. Well, there is a CC map for everything. All the continuous controls on the instrument. So you wouldn't get all the modulation matrix or all the switches, but at least the knobs have a CC map. So anyway, technically it would be possible to do a MIDI map for the V collection instruments, but it's not planned for now. Let's move on. So the question is, can you save the edits on user banks in both hardware and software to recall later? You can save presets anywhere. If we go back to PolyBrute Connect over here and look at the editor. So pay attention to what's here in the top toolbar. When I browse a preset from the browser over here, this will be shown in white. Now, maybe you won't see, but I'm loading a preset on the PolyBrute right now. So I've selected a preset on PolyBrute, and I can see which one it is. It was preset E2, so it's here. If I show in the matrix, it shows E2. And this turned red. And the reason why it's red is because it tells me that the preset that I'm currently editing is located on PolyBrute. So if I do some changes and then do a right click and save preset or save current preset here, I'm going to edit the memory of my PolyBrute. I'm going to edit the patches directly here. And if I go in this section over there, which is the project, so the goal is here is to do backups of your unit, like I was showing you. And if I load a preset here, it's going to show in white on the in yellow in the top toolbar, and this informs me that I'm currently browsing a preset that is from the project library. And again, if I go here, do some modification either on the hardware or directly on the software, and then I do a right click and save current preset here, then the edits I've done will be saved here. And if I do a right click and say save preset as, then it opens this pop-up that lets me modify all the, actually edit the tags and the name and everything so that I can add this preset to the list of results, the one that I can filter and browse. So like I was saying, there's your clean list with tags and there's your project backup. And I'm saying clean list because if you do 5 backups and you have only changed 3 presets and you never renamed the others, then you're going to get 5 duplicates of all the presets and most likely some of the factory preset and everything. So if everything was found in this list over here, after 2 backups, it would be a nightmare. So this is why there's this clear separation between like a clean library for browsing and filtering, backups, and your PolyBrute. But you can save and edit on all 3 sections. Can we imagine this in MatrixBrute? It's a tricky question. Of course, we've asked it ourselves. I can't stress how much of an effort this was for us in development. We've started working on PolyBrute Connect not that long after we've started working on PolyBrute. And the 2 developments have followed each other. And one puts a lot of constraints on the other. The whole communication, the way parameters are handled, how a preset is made, all of that is, it was designed on PolyBrute and PolyBrute Connect so that the 2 can communicate together. When we designed MatrixBrute, we didn't design it with this idea in mind. And as a consequence, if we want to do it today, we would need to rewrite a big part of the MatrixBrute firmware to have something that is similar to how it's handled on PolyBrute. And we would also have to build an editor, which is like a MatrixBrute Connect. So technically, anything is doable. Now, whether we're gonna do it, I honestly can't promise it. But let me assure you that it would be a lot of work. Is microtuning possible? Not currently. There is no way to integrate like microtuning or to load Scala files or something like that. Again, the instrument is so flexible that we definitely could integrate it if if it's something that is requested by a lot of people. People use the PolyBrute and they feel like this is something they need. Then sure, but it's definitely something we could consider. I would love to have that kind of thing. On one side, like microtuning and Scala loading because of the different expressions, and on the other side, things like scale quantization and things like that. I'm guessing that a lot of people who buy PolyBrutes are at least a bit familiar with keys, but still there's something fun with jamming with sequencers and scale quantization and all of that. So these are things that I'm personally interested in. You mentioned previously that MPE support is possible. Is that still the case? If so, any idea when it might be more than a possibility? So same thing. Technically, it's possible. PolyBrute already responds to PolyAfterTouch messages. It does not respond to the other MPE parameters. And honestly, I can't tell when it will be something if we ever do it. I can't promise on that. Again, the instrument is very new. We're gonna we just shipped a new firmware update for PolyBrute. So now it's the time we're gonna see what people who have the unit ask for. How they react, and also people who didn't buy it, what they would like as a reason to actually buy the unit. So MPE is something that we often hear. Hopefully we'll do it in the future. Any chance of a PolyBrute module with more voices? So I don't know if there are two questions in one. I could read it in two ways. One would be, could you make a module that could just add voices to an existing PolyBrute? And the second way I imagine the question is, could you make a module version, so without a desktop, that also would have more voices? I don't know if we'd be interested in a module version of PolyBrute. I guess part of the philosophy of the Brute instruments is this hands-on control, one-to-one handling. Each knob has a function. So if we did that without the keyboard, it would still be this big, and I don't think it makes any sense. If we did a user interface where there are fewer controls and it uses like pages and menus and stuff like that, then technically it's feasible. The whole inside of the unit is filled with the analog components, so we'd have to it would still be pretty big. Having more voices, I don't know. I can't tell for now. It's we designed it with 6 voices in mind. I can't tell if we're going to make a bigger one. So question 7 is, can you use the Morph pad as a controller for other VST software with pad interfaces XY? Currently, the Morphe only communicates through the PolyBrute Connect MIDI, the separate MIDI port that is used for communication. So it doesn't send CCs, but it's a mistake I made when I did the CC implementation of PolyBrute. I looked at all the knobs and the mod wheel, and I forgot to look at the ribbon and the Morphe. So expect that in the next update. We need to add it. It was a mistake on my side. But once we do that, then it will send MIDI 3 separate MIDI messages for X, Y, and Z, and you can do whatever you want with it. Is this synth multi-timbral? So here, can you zoom on this section, on the left section of the instrument? This section is called timbrality, and it provides 3 controls, single, layer, and split. In single mode, the whole keyboard plays one sound, which is the morphed sound. In layer mode, it divides the number of voices by 2. So you only get 3 voices of polyphony if you're playing polyphony. One part is going to play, one layer will be the A sound, and another layer will be what the knob, the position of the morph knob. So you could layer between A and B. Technically, you could layer A with A, which, I don't know, it's kind of unison without detune. I don't know if it's the most useful, but it's interesting how you can do a layer and then use the knob to, still get kind of different patches by using the morph. Split. Split lets you, split the keyboard in 2. One part is going to play B. Yeah, I think that's it. Can't remember. And the other part is going to play the morph between A and B. I mean, on the lower side, it's either A or B. I'm pretty sure it's B, but I might be wrong. I mean, we can try. Let's just load a preset. I need to listen to this. How you say it? Listen to this. Where am I? Oh yes, of course. So, what I want to do? Yes, let's go. So I get this sound. Let's make it more plucky. So this is A, and B is like this. Now if we move to split, so this one plays the morph. The upper part plays the morph between A and B, and the lower part plays A. So I was right the first time. All right. So yes, to answer, it's bitimbral, and it uses morph as a way to manipulate the 2 timbres. So if you modify A, if you set the morph knob on A, you can modify A. If you set the morph knob on B, you can modify B. It's the same paradigm we use for morphing. I would say that the essence of that instrument is to be a morphing instrument. Bringing timbrality is something that we've done, and we've done it well, but the essence is more on morphing. Are there plans to have a PolyBrute standalone VST plugin? Well, we've just made the hardware, we've just made the editor. I don't know if we want to get into that right now. I mean, it's interesting. We often get asked initially to make a VST mini brute or things like that. I don't know if we want to do it, or if we want to, look elsewhere for software instrument that generates sound. So I don't know. I think the soul of the PolyBrute is in the analog sound, and almost I'd be too afraid to miss it. No, I don't know. Right now, it's not planned. Don't expect it for a long while. Question 10. Can you see how to use modulation on a wait, sorry. I'm gonna say it in a way people can understand. Can we see how to use modulation on a per voice level to imitate some of the tuning voice instability we associate with classic analog gear? Beautiful question. Yes, I'm happy to show you that. So let's start with the init patch. Where am I? There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna do something like a simple analog patch like this. Let's use 2 oscillators, a bit of sub, this one on 1 semitone, detune a little bit. Well, I was not expecting this. Wait. That's a mystery. Why? Okay, I must have tweaked the FM parameter. So let's go back. So first, like I will say the question differently. How can we bring imperfection in the sound to have more of a vintage or analog-ish feel? So first, just a bit of vibrato. Kind of kills the static pitching. Then another thing is fine-tune has this small green circle. If I do setting plus fine-tune, I have different settings that change what we call the pitch accuracy. And it's gonna add some deviation to the pitch to kind of emulate how voices on a vintage analog instrument used to drift. So let's listen again. Okay. See how pretty subtle. Already we're hearing. Let's listen to this. You can listen on an octave. This is like sharp. You can see that it stays in phase. Then wild is let's listen again. This to this. Okay, now there's this modulation row over here, and it's my favorite. It's called voices. What it does is, for the six voices, it gives a value between -1 and +1. So if we assign it to the pitch, let's reduce the release. So the way it's done, the voices, it takes a, I don't know, there's a mapping of the voice so that it's not starting from the bottom and going to the top, but just like it's more evenly distributed. So this is why you're getting this like bottom to top and again bottom to top. So let's try not with 16th semmitum, but maybe 10th. This is too much. And it has to be very subtle. So we can do it on pitch. But then let's try on the cutoff. And actually, like, because we've been emulating vintage instruments, and recently the Jupiter 8, we've looked into what actually makes that sound, and you can see a lot of dispersion on the filter, the pitch, the pulse width, the amplitude of the waveforms a little bit, the saturation of the amplifier, the decay times, well, the envelope times, and the envelope times in particular, and the resonance amount. The envelope times in particular kind of creates this warm sound because not all envelopes die at the same time. So let's just, let's keep on working like this. I'm gonna do it also, I'm gonna assign to the resonance a little bit. I'm gonna assign to the decay time of my envelope, the 2 decay. So of course, this is the, I'm using the same modulation on all the voices. So you wouldn't get the same effect that you have on a not properly calibrated instrument where every single parameter is independent because it drifted from others. So. Yeah, you can see I have my envelopes that decay not the same. Probably too much on the pitch. I think I still have this fine tune here. Let's just only use this. Stereo as well. All right. So yes, this is I'm using this voices section. Just one last thing I love to show. Let's assign the LFO to my cutoff. So like this. And now let's make it polyphonic, and then let's assign the rate of the LFO and use these voices to control this. So. Probably did too much, but what you can hear is each voice will have its own LFO with a different rate. So yeah, you know, this voice row is a beautiful way to create motion. If you guys are interested in that kind of sounds, you should check out the presets that Matt Pike, one of our amazing sound designer, designed. And a lot of them use the voices as a way to do something, and you know, not only kind of analog drift, but also all kinds of expression. Question 11 is, will the VST work in Machina? NKS, maybe. I haven't thought about it. I haven't tried, to be honest. I don't know if the VST works in Machina. It's not planned to be NKS. I'm trying to think if there's any reason not to do it. I mean, as you understand, the VST does not produce sound. It's you need a separate audio track. So this is also something that would remain true within Machina. I mean, NKS, I don't know. I don't know if we haven't really. It's the first time I even think about it. But maybe. Is the PolyBrute MIDI 2 capable? No, it's not. I don't know. I'm guessing we'll see over time how, you know, MIDI 2 is going to become more and more important. And, you know, for now, because we put the emphasis on the PolyBrute Connect and that we do everything through NRPNs with 14 bits of resolution. So, you know, MIDI is 7 bits. So we get, you know, a lot more, 100 times more resolution. And we're doing everything through VST parameters. If you do automations, you can directly label the names. You know, if you turn the cutoff, it's going to do an automation of the cutoff, not CC74. So a lot of the things we decided to do through the VST integration. And some of those things are part of the new MIDI standard, which is great. But I think we started working on PolyBrute Connect before we heard about MIDI 2. So for now, it's not planned. And you know, if there are things that we can't do with PolyBrute Connect that MIDI 2, where MIDI 2 makes sense, then definitely we will consider them. Could you please insert in the next firmware a song or chain mode function? Oh. So first, I'll wait until you know, a lot more people get the unit and see if that's something that is requested a lot. I see the point, but I mean, I don't know if it will be one of the most wanted feature. One thing to consider, the sequence is part of the preset. So in a sense, doing a chain means that we would go from one preset to the other. On MatrixBrute, we had the liberty, we had a link button, and you could, if you unlink, you could browse only presets, keeping the sequence, or you could change the sequence, keeping the preset, all of that. And I don't know, it created a lot of confusion. It was more flexible, but it's also quite confusing. You need to save in 2 different areas and things like that. So on PolyBrute, we streamlined it. We decided that the emphasis was more on playing and that actually, for the most part, having the sequence within the preset was enough. So it might be a bit tricky to have something that, you know, well, technically we could. We would just chain the patterns and it will also change the presets, but why not? Question 14. I really think you made something very special here. Every time I hear the PolyBrute, it sounds just wonderful. Can't wait to own one day. Many thanks. Keep up the good, great work. Thank you, whoever wrote question 14. Thanks a lot. I have to admit that I'm also extremely happy with this instrument. You know, it was like more than 3 years of development and an amazing team. And it's the opportunity also to thank the whole team, all the developers and all the teams that did the testing and the sound design. It was a big effort, and also the PolyBrute Connect, which was another side of of work, of problems, of thoughts, of endless meetings. But I feel like what we have here is beautiful, and I'm very happy that some people agree. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the end of the questions, which means that this is the end of this live stream. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you understood or at least that you see some potential and in PolyBrute Connect alongside PolyBrute, you know, the how much more it will bring to this machine if you make music, of course, with the computer. So yes, I thank you for your attention, and until next time, cheers.